Hey everyone, so today we'll look at how I actually did these wall textures on this temple. And so this temple is called a Jain Temple and it is found in the main square of Jaisalmer. And so I used different tones of browns and black paint to paint the walls. So the thing is, painting this wall right here is not as simple as you think because we have all these different textures, and so we will need to use different techniques to represent these different textures. So again, using that dry brush, this is a very common technique that I use to paint this kind of textures, and also the leaving white. So right now I'm leaving white that shape in the middle, and then I'm going to make sure that we have, you know, all these different colors, different browns and different kinds of colors that are being added, so that we have all these different kinds of changing elements and changing colors that you see. So using dry brush, using the leaving white, and using different colors. So the dry brush method is used by using the side of my small brush. So you can see now this part is already dry, so I'm actually trying to fill up this white area that I just left white earlier on, and just fill up this area with a lighter kind of brown. And you can see that this area is different from the area that I did on the right. So we need to have all these different browns that are changing so that we can have all these different kinds of textures. So I'm just using a small brush right now to do this dry brush technique again to create a rough kind of texture. Right, so we have the use of this small brush to help us with all these kinds of technique that I'm showing you right now. Okay, so we have this small brush. So you can see that on the right hand side is slightly darker because of this shadow that is formed by this structure on the right hand side, which we can't really see now, but we can see there is dark and then light and then dark. So these changes in colors are what make this wall so interesting. So again, using more dry brush technique right here because I really want to create those textures, and I'm just going to repeat this kind of technique with the rest of the walls, right? So right now you're seeing this wall that is being done using all those dry brush techniques, and of course those black lines that I used to do those textures, again using the brush, the larger brush to help me with the door, and again using the same method, the leaving white, okay, to have all these details that are being left white and filled in later. And then we have the use of this small brush to do the bottom part. So we have this leaving white that is done for the top part right there, and so we have all these different kinds of browns that are being added, right? So it's first we leave white the area and then we paint with a lighter brown, so that will give you this kind of very nice effect. And so I left out some white so that a different one can be filled in later, right? So this was the technique that I mentioned earlier. So right now at this top row we have this white, these areas that are left white. Right, so this is done by painting around those white areas, and then later on we are going to see how we will add those lighter tones in the areas that are left white, and this will really make it more interesting with all these kinds of textures and features and details that are forming because of this kind of amazing technique. Right, so using the small brush, I'm just trying to make sure that we have this brown that is being done on the right hand side, And then we have this small brush that is done, just trying to paint this area, and just going to use that small brush to show you how I change slightly the brown. So this structure right here is slightly darker as compared to the one to its left. Right, so you can see the very slight change in brown tone, right? So that's very important to how we can depict all these, subtly changing kinds of browns that I actually used to use the small brush to actually do all these different details, all these different kinds of areas, right? So this is very, very important when we especially do these brown structures in this town called Jaisalmer, because right here we see a lot of brown structures, and if we don't change the browns, that will be very, very boring to look at. So when we change all these browns using this kinds of techniques, okay, dry brush and slightly varying the browns and having all these details being added later on, this will create a very interesting kind of effect when we actually look at the temple wall because of this kind of changes. So here we need to be a little bit more patient because using that dry brush can take pretty long to paint a certain area, but we can combine it with other colors, and that will really make it look very, very nice and very, very attractive. Okay, so right now I'm actually filling up those white areas that are left white. So this is the result that you see. We have all these lighter tones that are in between those darker tones, and that will really make it look very interesting. Right, so I used color pencil to enhance the textures. So once the wall is done, we can use color pencils like black. So again, this is almost like a dry brush technique because we have all these details that are being added, and this will further enhance the wall that you're seeing now. So using that red color pencil, again adding in some details. So these strokes can be very quick. It can arise from in between those cornices and those small little areas, and just using very quick strokes, that will really give us all these different kinds of dry textures that is done because of the color pencils that is now being added to the already interesting wall, and that really give a lot of very rich and very interesting effects to the wall. Alright, so these are some of the tricks that I actually use to help me come up with very interesting walls like this, and this is really a very good trick when you're painting temple structures and brown structures like this, which is really a very attractive way of depicting these amazing walls. Right, so using that small brush, I'm just trying to recreate these textures. So again, at the top part right there, we have all these temple structures which show this not sure if it's some kind of human figures, and later on we'll see how they are being done, but right now I'm just trying to complete this brown structure, and this brown structure right there is going to give us some very, very nice changes as well. So again, repeating the same process, just painting some of the dark areas, the black areas, and this this kind of changes will really help us to make sure that we have all these different kinds of browns and different kinds of blacks and different kinds of living white, and the details being filled in later. So all these amazing techniques are being done because of my knowledge of how to use the watercolor paint and how to use the watercolor pencil together as well. So this is really something that I hope to share with you guys, because this is a very good technique that we can use to paint brown walls, textural kind of formations using watercolor, and also using the watercolor pencil to help us with more details. So right now I'm just painting the top part of the temple structure right there at the top. In the middle part, we have some yellows. So right here we can use a little bit of yellows and a little bit of orange to help us with all these amazing kinds of textures and structures and everything. So that will give us a very nice kind of effect. Okay, so using that brush again, trying to recreate all these, you know, different kinds of lines, different structures, and different things that are going on right here. And so using the small brush, I'm just trying. Okay, using that larger brush right now, I'm just painting the top part. So the top of this, at the top of this temple, we have different browns and different yellows, different orange to create all these, you know, different sections of the structure right here. And so we have all these different colors coming together very nicely because they are very similar to each other, and they are very, very nice when they are combined together. All these very warm colors. So now using some dark strokes to paint the top part right there, which is, you see a flag. It looks like a cross, but later on we'll see that it is a flag. But just trying to complete, okay, the top part there using this darker kind of paint, darker kind of strokes. We are just going to make sure that we have all these different kinds of darks, okay, different kinds of lines, again using a dark brown watercolor color pencil to help us with all the details that we see. Right, so color pencils come in very handy with all these details. And again, using that brush, just trying to create all these amazing things that you see right now, all these amazing colors, and using some red to actually do the flag right there at the top. Alright, so we are moving on. Okay, the lines. So these lines here are the wires that we see. So using that brush, I'm just going to make sure that it goes along that pencil mark that I just did. So using the color pencil that can actually help me to have these lines drawn. So when a line intersects with that temple's structure right there in the middle, I use yellow to actually have a change in tone so that it's actually different from the rest of the wires. So just did the wires with the same method, and now moving on to painting the rest of the temple structures. So again, leaving whites. You see all these white bits are because of the whites, the kind of textures that I actually did. The kind of leaving white is done because I want to fill in those details later on. So using the small brush, I'm just going to very quickly make sure that we have all these different browns that are being added, and these different browns are what make this part very interesting, right? So leaving white, again leaving white, those lines are being left white, which will be filled in later, and then we will use the small brush to actually fill in later, which you are seeing right now. All these lighter browns that make up this temple structure. So right now you're seeing this temple structure actually come alive because of this amazing techniques of leaving white, of using different browns, of using color pencils to help us do more of these details, and also the use of dry brush techniques and a combining of these different browns together with the brush. So all these are the reasons why, you know, you see this wall that is coming out in a very interesting way, because I have combined all these techniques together, and you can see right now that I'm actually adding in more details that make it look even more complete. And this wall right here is coming alive because of all these techniques and all these tricks that I'm doing. So finally, using that black color pencil to do some of the outlines for those structures in the middle, and we are almost coming to the end of this video where you've seen some amazing techniques on how to do the walls. Hey everyone, it's KY Tom here. thank you for watching my video. If you enjoyed my video, please hit the like button and comment down below. Do consider to subscribe to my channel for more art videos. Check out the links on the description below to find out more about my art, and I hope to see you in the next one.